Good evening. I'm just waiting for students to join. Uh, there are only few there were. Yeah, how many are there now? Okay, there are about three only. So I'm going to wait for another 3 minutes and then start. Okay, I was wondering at the beginning there was no one. Okay, anyway, we'll start. We'll wait for another 3 minutes and start the class. Okay, we'll start the class. I was just going to see if there are more students joining. I know for some reason there are only few students today. No, I don't know why. But anyway, let's start. Do you all remember we stopped in the middle last time? I think. Okay, can you all if you all can remember, can you all tell me? I think this is where we have to start. We're going to cover the environmental factors. Did we finish this? Can you all remember? We started looking at this. We are doing this assessing the macro environment part under lecture number 3. Okay, I think we couldn't finish it. I think we stopped somewhere here, if I'm not mistaken. We have completed it, we can go to the next point, next class. Just check and let me know. Correct. Follow කරපු කෙනෙක් ඉන්නවද? Because I've written as this part. Do you all remember? Just check and see. ලියාගත්තේ හරි මොකක් හරි තියෙනවා. I think මම ලියාගෙන තියෙන said we have stopped here. Okay, anyway, I'll quickly just go through it, okay? So what we were discussing it, we said in marketing, right? There are several environments which impact. I mean, basically you and your customer are not the only one, but the entire environment it could be entire environment, it could be in terms of the political situation in the country or the globe. Internationally, okay? Or the economic side of things, or socially. Now, socially, we looked at, how people's beliefs and all change because of that. Things, what you call impact brands, okay? Then technologically, how things impact. Technological advancements, how, I'm not quite sure if we touched that anyway. Okay, let's do this bit and then environmental and legal. So international, we are not going to touch much because we'll be talking about it at the very end. Okay, so we discussed about these political factors, how it affects an organization, right? Then we moved on to economics, how economical factors affect, then social, okay? I think we might have covered the entire thing actually. Okay, if I'm not mistaken, I think we did cover. If you all have not covered, let me know. I might be remembering a different class because I do the same thing for the Sinhala class. I think we have covered. I think it's but let me know. Okay, and then we looked at this under the social environment. We looked at okay, especially this thing called this demographics. That means someone's age, gender, income, education, occupation. Okay, all that impacts demographics. Remember, we looked at that McDonald's video and how they have kind of advertised different cultures. Okay, so then we looked at the technological side of things, how those things impact. As a company, if you all don't move with the new technology that's available, you all are going to, the customers will start using something else. Okay, whatever that is a new innovation or whatever, you can't just think because you all have the highest market share, whatever, it will be very good all the time. No, you never know. Next day itself, a new technology might come, a new brand might come, and they might, your market share will just, what you call this, decrease in front of your eyes. So that is the technological part. Okay. Then we looked at this environmental factors. I'm not quite sure. Makeup well, so I'm anyway going to do it a little bit. So I can't remember showing you all the examples. Okay. So we looked at the environmental factors and in terms how those affect a business or in marketing in general. Now, especially now these when you talk about the trends in let's say in the world in general, these trend towards, let's say, eco-friendly stuff, then people kind of being more sensitive towards pollution, things like that. Those are things which are kind of coming up, especially from the European countries. And now even here also we are starting to see those things. Okay, now there are a lot of brands which talk about this organic production in terms of using organic methods to use. Okay, like if it's a soap, someone will call, what do you call, bring up a organic soap. Or organic කියලා කියන්නේ vegetables නම් organic. එතකොට that is more on to say it's more on to this environmental side. It's nothing from the organization, but the society is kind of shifting towards that. Then up in from November 1st onwards, all these supermarkets are going to charge you for the polythene bag. සිරිසියමල්ල කියන්නේ. I think 3 rupees or 5 rupees or no homa gana. So that came about, with the change in the society and the world going towards that side, and then the government putting it as a rule. Okay, but it's an environmental factor. You can't say it could be political also or legal losses in a way, because now they are going to, start charging. Okay, but it is at the core, it's an environmental issue. Hinda now when you all go to buy also as consumers, your consumer behavior in terms of packaging also, that is a packaging. නිකන් මල්ලා කියන්නේ it's a package. Okay, එහෙමනේ ගේන්නේ, you can't just bring the products. Okay, then those things will have to change, how you do it, and then how you make sure that your consumers are used to, bringing their own bags. So then people can, all these what you call supermarket chains, actually by now they should have started a nice creative campaign, no? To to give that idea ඇයි මේක කරන්න කියන එක තේරුම් ගන්න එපා. I don't know whether all are anybody's there from Keels or Cargills or whatever. So ideally by now they could have had a nice campaign saying why they are doing this. Okay, then people will also kind of feel the need for it. එක එක නිකන් අතහැරලා දාන්න නැතුව ඒකට බනින්න පටන් ගන්න නැතුව මිනිස්සුන්ටත් හිතේ මේක තේරුමක් තියෙන දෙයක් කියලා. But we are not seeing anything marketing related. They could have actually done ඒ වගේ වෙලාවක. Okay, so ideally then by November 1st, people will be ready, consumers. නැත්තම් November 1st ගිහලා ඔයගලන් කඩේ යනකොට රුපියල් 3ක් 5ක් කපන්න ගිය ගමන් somebody's going to put it on Facebook, and it's going to be like this and that and all that, and it will be, sometimes people will take it very negatively. Okay, but I think everybody knows. So that is an environmental change, but it will impact marketing also, how you design your packaging. Okay, now we see usually kids, the what do you call, the cloth bag, අපි කියන රෙදි මල්ල ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ, that is a known thing. No, people use it, and that's a good way to promote their brand also. අපිට people were joking also මේ අර recently with the arrest, people are going with Kiehl's bag. ඉතින් ඒක ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ, that means people know what the Kiehl's bag is. So they could have actually promoted it much better leading up to the 1st of November. Do you all know there is such a what do you call law coming up? එහෙම එකක් දන්නවද? සුපර්මාකට්ස් ඔක්කොම ඕගලන්ගේ සිරි මාළු නැත්නම් පොලිතීන් බෑග්ස් වලට රුපියල් 3ක් 4ක් 5ක්ද කොහෙද charge කරන්න යනවා කියලා දන්නවද? Do you all know about it? Are you not going to answer today? නිකන් දන්නවද කියලා. I'm just asking whether you all know about it. You can put yes or no, it's okay. Nobody's there today. I'm just asking whether you all know about this new rule which is coming up, where they are going to charge you for the polythene bags that you are getting from supermarkets. කවුරුත් ඒක දන්නේ නැද්ද? එහෙම එකක් එනවා කියලා. Nobody knows about it. No. Very strange. So I'll just have to talk today, no? Okay, so then that's about environmental factors. Okay, environmental factors are increasingly influencing both consumers and businesses, climate change, okay, things like that, environmental sustainability, carbon footprints, recycling regulations, and eco-conscious consumer behavior. All those kind of come under environmental. Okay, then you all can watch these links and see how these companies have kind of implemented this, and we go on to the legal factor. Okay, so legal factor is kind of relates to the regulations within a business, especially. Now, especially if you take marketing, you have different legal factors. Okay, so that means for, let's say, for registration of a logo, simply if you start from that, you have a certain ways that you have to do it. Also, in terms of marketing, what to do, what not to do, especially in terms of copyright, copying and all that, other brands can sue against you. So this go and you all can watch this, okay? Watch and see how other companies have fallen into trouble, these well-known companies, because of legal issues. Okay, it could be related to, maybe some are related to pricing, think very small issues. But the point of that video is to tell you all, even the smallest issue can become a legal issue, especially in terms of marketing. Okay, so things like that might come into play. So if I just read this, legal factors relate to all regulations that businesses must follow, especially those that govern marketing activities. Okay, so these include consumer protection laws. Okay, so if you are like promoting a food product, you have to go through a lot of regulations. You have to first get permission for that. If you are doing a salon, there are different things. And the packaging, if it's a food item, there are things that you have to put. Oh, come, you have to know before you put a product out. Okay, so those things, even the consumers, then they can sue against you. Okay, they can go to courts against your brand. හරි ඒ වගේ ගිහිල්ලා මිනිස්සු ඒවා ගෙන්නලා තියෙන අවස්ථා තියෙනවා. Okay, so things like say employment law, because if you're working in the brand, sometimes those things can come into play. Health and safety, competitions, product safety. So those are laws which can come under the legal side. Okay, so this is what we could have had this, but there's not much students in the class. So these are few what do you call links which are on here also. Okay, just have a look at it and see how you can relate those things to the what do you call these topics we're talking. So I'm going to end the class here on this. Okay, this assessing the macro environment point. Okay, then we are going into the next lecture. Okay, did you all get the presentation? Did you all get the fourth presentation? I might have got it. Okay, you can just put a yes or no if you have got the presentation. Okay, so it's okay. So we are going to talk about this concept called marketing mix. Okay, today this is one of the basic concepts in marketing. This is to identify. So I'm just going to quickly go through the slides today then, right? So then it's what do you call? It's one of the very basic theories, or like a theory which came up somewhere in 1960, starting from the price factor. Then it kind of evolved, and this is the basic. We call it the 4 Ps because all these 4 words start from the letter P. Okay, so we product, price, place, promotion. So if you are looking at a marketing mix for your organization also, you can always divide it onto these 4 categories and start explaining. Okay, so first, if you take in terms of product, we kind of look at all these factors. Okay, so these are things which usually come under all these. Okay, so product, price, place, promotion. This is a basic theory, like I told you, and they all can be questioned on this for your exam as well, marketing mix. Okay, now today, in today's class, we are going to talk about the product. Okay, only this fact. And in the next following, the following classes, we will have these price, place, and promotion. Okay, so that's what we are going to do. So today we are going to start on the product. And this is what we will be discussing in terms of the topics. Okay, let's straight away go for this. So if we had an interactive class, we could have had this because there are a lot of things that we can discuss. Okay, so I'm just wondering whether to maybe take another topic, but it's okay. This is what we have for today. Okay, so if you take in terms of product, we have this, there are few terms that you all have to learn. Okay, we have this, what do you call this thing called? The first term that I'm going to use is this thing called product portfolio. Okay, so product portfolio simply is all the products which a company offer. Okay, so a product portfolio encompasses all products offered by a company, including various product categories and product lines. Okay, whatever, all the products which a company offer is basically known as product portfolio. Okay, for example, the extensive iPhone product portfolio includes headphones, headsets, okay. Under, let's say, Apple, then whatever, all the Apple products will be their product portfolio. Okay, when you are kind of drawing, you can put this in a graphical setting, okay. Then we usually draw it like this. Okay, so you have a product width, length, okay, and then in that also we call this product lines. These, within a length, the number of products you have. Okay, now if you take a company like Unilever or Procter and Gamble, කියලා කියන ගොඩාක් products තියෙන companies. Okay, so they have a product width means the number of product lines. Okay, you all will have oral care. Okay, what is oral care means? අපි කියන්නේ what something to do with your mouth and all that. So it could be toothpaste, it could be toothbrushes, okay? Then it could be something like dental floss and anything which comes under oral care. This is the same company, they have categorized the entire, all the products that they have like this, okay? Then you all have skin and personal care. Gillette, Ivory, Olime, this is under one Procter and Gamble care brand. Okay, then fabric care. It could be Tides, okay, Ariel, Bounce. We might not have all this, but this is their product portfolio. They have a bigger one, but we are just like in general. As an example, you can take, this is their product portfolio. Now, in your companies also, when you are working, you should be able to identify what your product portfolio is. Okay, you should be able to draw and show. මේක තමයි අපේ company එකේ product portfolio කියන්නේ. Even if it's a service, you can draw this. Okay, if you take a, let's say, a hospital which provides service, if you take a bank, still you all can do in terms of, let's say, savings accounts, loan schemes, then pawning anammanang එහෙම තියෙන. So all those you can think. And then different product savings accounts, you have several. Okay, so this is a good way to identify what you have already and to see what can be improved, what product lines can be improved. Okay, so that is very, what do you call, it will be helpful for you all to see in terms of, especially in terms, you all can do this product portfolio for your competitor also and see what they offer. Okay, and what you all have, so this is, you can take this, what do you call, as an example and do this for your company. So product width is the different levels කියලා කියන්නේ different product lines. Oral care, skin, fabric care. Like I told you, banking would be savings and loan schemes and something like that. Okay, under that category you will have the individual products lined up. Okay, and then that is the product length is in a certain level, number of, what do you call, the length, number of products there. Okay, so this entire thing is called the product portfolio. Okay, so draw this for your companies and see how it looks like. Then you will identify. So if you go and say if it's oral care, you might realize, we don't have something like this. Or we don't, the others have, we don't. So then we have to, what do you call, introduce it. Or you might see you all have others too. So then you might market it better or whatever. Then you can, you know where you are. Okay, and you can see how to you want what you call expand another product line at different level, oral care, skin care, fabric care, then you might maybe do something else. Okay, cosmetic products, sorry, මොකක් එකට යන එකක්, whatever. Okay, so then you all can expand, or sometimes if the company is not doing too well, some people discontinue certain product lines. ඒවා බලන්නත් පුළුවන්. Okay, so but the idea is this big thing is called the product portfolio. Then you have the product width and the product length, right? From there, I'll just read this out. Okay, so the width of a product portfolio is the number of different product lines the companies carry. Okay, the different product lines is called the width. Okay, now this how many product lines does this brand have? If this is one company, how many lines does this have? In the width, it's very simple. Nityashala, thank you for answering. I thought you all were on some මොකක් හරි strike එකක්වත් කරනවාද කියලා මම බැලුවේ මේ උත්තරයක්වත් දෙන්නේ නැතුවද. Okay, so that's a very simple question. I want to see whether just to see what's happening. Okay, so you all have three product lines. Okay, so and similarly in a product line, you all can have, it doesn't have to be equal all the time. Okay, මේ සමාන වෙන්න ඕනේ කියලා එකක් නැහැ. It's just for to show sometimes some product lines might have just two, some product line four, some maybe 10, or just one also sometimes. Okay, so it doesn't matter. So when you take a product length, the length of a product portfolio is the total number of items in the mix. හරි, length කියලා කියන්නේ මේ එකක තියෙන සම්පූර්ණ products ගාන. මම කිව්වා වගේ it doesn't have to be equal. Depending on what you're offering, you might have more or few or even sometimes one. Okay, the depth of a product portfolio consists of the number of variants offered for each product in the length. දැන් මේක පින්තූරේ පෙන්නන්නේ the depth would be something like this. දැන් අපි හිතමු Tide එකේ Tide අපි ඉස්සර තිබ්බ, I don't know whether we have Tide now. තියෙනවා නේද? I don't know, I don't use it, so I don't know. Tide, if it's Tide, now you might have Tide එකේම you might have different fragrances. අර දැන් sunlight එකේ තියෙන්නේ අර පිච්ච මල් එකයි අර ඒ වගේ same product, but you have different varieties of the same product. Then that is called depth. මේකෙන් දෙකක් තියෙන්න පුළුවන්. සමහර ක්ලෝ ගාඩ් වගේ එකක් නම් ඒකේ තියෙන එක flavors වගේ තියෙන එකක්. හරි? ඒ වගේ. So then it will have under the toothpaste category you will have several. So that is the depth. The depth of a product portfolio consists of the number of variants offered for each product in the line. It could be one, it could be two, depending on the product. Okay. If Tide came in 2 cents, okay, now make an example is also that. So you can have 2 cents can අපි කියන්නේ සුවඳ වල දෙකකින් આવොත් one would be clean breeze and regular. Okay. In two formulations, it could be liquid and powder. Okay, and with two additives with with bleach, without bleach අනම්මනම් එහෙම. So that will be the depth. එකම එක අපි තව ගන්නවා. So you can actually draw it here itself. මේක යටතේ තියෙන තව අනිත් ඒවා ටික කියලා. Okay. And then the next thing is called, this is not shown in the picture, but something that you need to have is the consistency of the product portfolio. It reflects how closely related the various product lines are in end use. Okay, production requirements, distribution channels, or some other way. Okay, then consistency කියලා කියන්නේ, now let's see if it is a Unilever company. Okay, Unilever, I mean, it's a global company. Okay, so when in terms of using the applicant distribution channels, how do they bring everything down to Sri Lanka? Even though it has a lot of product lines, everything come through the same channels. Okay, in terms of production also, where do they produce their goods? If it's the same, the consistency can a pack thing. If it's all close, then it's easy for a company because they take a pack thing. Okay, if it's not so, then sometimes some companies might have just one line that is okay. එහෙමනේ ගොඩක් companies තියෙන, is it like a global or supermarket chains only have different lot of variety. Some companies might have just one also. එක product එකකින් දුවන companies උත් තියෙනවා. line එක width එක මුකුත් නැහැ, එකම product එකයි තියෙන්නේ. That is also company, it doesn't matter වැඩිපුර තියෙන්න ඕනි කියලා එහෙම අදහසක් නැහැ. Okay, so the consistency means in terms of this production requirements, distribution channels, how similar they are. Then it's easy for the company to function. Okay, that's a basic understanding. Okay, P&G's product lines are consistent in that they are consumer goods that go through the same distribution channels. දැන් මේවා ඔක්කොම යන්නේ supermarkets වලට. So there is the same channel. This is Procter and Gamble කියන company එකේ products මේ ටික. ඒතර ඔක්කොම එනවා ඒක එකට යනවා so then it's easy. But if you had these going into one place, then you have a construction products උත් තියෙනවා නම් මේකේ. ඒතර ඒක යන්න ඕනේ වෙනම hardware stores වලට. Then it's too complicated. But as a company, if you have the same line, it's easy. Okay, so just know about it, but just the main technical words you have to learn is this width, length, and the depth. Okay, so P&G's product lines are consistent in that they are consumer goods that go through the same distribution channels. The lines are less consistent in the functions they perform for buyers. Okay. Now this product line is basically අර මම කිව්වා වගේ මේ එක line එක යන ඒවා. Okay, so product line is a group of related products sold by the same company. In offering a product line, companies normal develop a basic platform and modules that can be added to meet different customer requirements and lower production costs. Car manufacturers build cars around the same basic platform. Okay, home builders show a model home to which buyers can add additional features. Product line managers need to know the sales and profits which of each item in their line to determine which items to build, maintain, harvest or divest. කියලා අපි තුමුක මේ ඕරල් කියනනම් අර මම කිව්වා වගේ what is doing well, what is not doing well, what should we include. Okay, so things like that is sometimes if you have oral care, you might maybe looking at developing a service, oral care consulting service. Again, you never know, things might come up like that. It's not always have to be a product. You can have a mix of product and services under a product line. In that way, consultation will be another product of yours. You might do it in a very different way, but that is under oral care. Maybe your company is the only one who has a toothbrush line, toothpaste line, consultation line also, dental consultation. So then when you have this, you can take those decisions. So just remember the idea of product portfolio and product lines, and then this width, length, and depth. Okay. So from that, we go on to this. Now, this is in terms of a simple, it's like a case study a student has done. Okay. For Coca-Cola. This is drawn the other way. අනිත් විදිහට හැබැයි Coca-Cola might, have their product line like this: sparkling soft drink, coffee and tea, juices and dairy whenever their water brand, okay, alcohol and other stuff. Okay, so then there are more brands than this, but still this is just an example for their product portfolio. Okay, then if you take this is Unilever, I think. Okay, so their product portfolio. Oh no, I think this is Procter and Gamble. Okay, anyway, okay. So this is in the Indian market, I think. So, okay. So their product portfolio. So overlanget, you all should be able to categorize it like this. Doesn't matter whether you are doing, this is Procter and Gamble. Arkema may products madala. Then you're familiar with it more, right? So, so you draw this and see for your company also. This is basic first what you do in terms of a product. You first identify what you have, but you divide it into these categories and see. The number of categories and all might change based on how you want to, call it. Fabric, it doesn't matter. Okay, but just see what you have. So from that, we go on to this concept called product levels. Okay, so product level, if you understand the basic understanding of this is, it's not one product. When you improve it, this happens. Product is any product that is given to you all can break it into these categories simply. What ඕනම product එකක් whatever you have, you can break it into these components. This is just to identify, what you call to understand the product. Okay, now if you just go and see here, I'll explain it to you with this example given here. Now let's say the hotel, a hotel that is also a product, no, product or service, it's a brand, let's say. Okay. So what is the core benefit of a, let's say, a hotel? Okay, you go there to rest and sleep, or that is for a holiday purpose. The core benefit. ඒක තමයි ඔයාගේ මූලික අරමුණ. Okay. Then what you need is, then you have this, the generic is the same word, basic. Okay. Same hotel. That is a very basic need is rest and sleep or vacation or what, something like that. The core benefit of a hotel that you use. Okay. Then when you go to a, let's say, a hotel, the basic thing that you expect, or what you call expect is bad word to use, the basic thing that you require is, you think there is a bed, a bathroom, towel. You know those are there, no? The very basic ones, which are offered under the hotel concept. Issalam, you have the core benefit. Okay, එකට යන්නේ ඔයා මූලිකව, what is the main idea of going it to get some rest and sleep or holiday or whatever. Okay. Then based on that, the basic expectation of your being there for hotel is for it to have your own room, maybe to have a bed, to have a bathroom, towels. Yeah, basic මේවනේ. You're not going to look at the quality and all that, but that is you think it's there. Next one is what is the expected level කියලා කියන්නේ අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් මේවා දැන් කාලේ තියනවා කියලා හිතනවා කොහොමද. When you say a room, what you want, you assume it's a clean room. Especially when you go to a hotel, ඒක නිකන් අපිරිවල පිරිසුදු නැති හොටෙල් එකක් අපි හිතන්නේ නැහැ කාමරයක්. You expect it to be clean. Now especially you think you will get Wi-Fi. Then අහන්නත් ඕන එකක් නෙමෙයි, everybody has Wi-Fi, right? Then of course good service. Those are expected ones. ඒක ගිහිලා you might get spoiled. I mean, you might not get a good service. Then you become unhappy as a consumer. Customer කෙනෙක් විදිහට. But you expect it to be good no before you go to the place also. Okay, so this is the core benefit of it. Okay, this is the generic product. Is basic මේක මොකක්ද එකෙන් තියෙන. අනිත් එක තමයි what is the expected level. මේ ටික අඩුම ගානේ තියනවා කියලා හිතනවා. Okay, then when you understand this augmented product is මේ hotel කියන එකම augmented කියලා කියන්නේ ඒ තියෙන expected level එකෙන්, that is the minimum expected level, how can you surprise your consumer in hotels? Customer. So basically, we are surprise වෙනවා කියලා කියනවා expect level එකට වඩා වැඩි වෙන්න ඕනේ surprise කියනවා කියලා කියන්නේ. So how can you do that for your consumer? Here is the augmented product. So for a hotel, it says additional services and benefits that exceed expectations. Then it could be free breakfast, okay, 24/7 customer service, loyalty program, or it could be like, let's say, maybe like gifts and all that, something beyond the expected level. Okay, so if you take, especially if you take your competitors, most of them at a more equal level, හැමෝටම මේ ටික තියයි. But how you do this and this other one is how it will change you. මේ augmented කියලා කියනවා ඒගොල්ලෝ expect කරනට උඩින් තාම මොනවද දෙන්නේ කියන එක. Okay, then the potential product is how it can be developed in future. What do you all see as a brand in future your product will give your consumer. Okay, so all the possible future enhancements and transformations in future. දැන් නෑ, හැබැයි ඔයා මේ product එක මෙහෙම කඩලා you see in future. Now for hotels, as the example is showing here, you say smart room technology and personalized experience. Now smart rooms are not very common still. You expect that it could be developed up to that point. Smart rooms, light නිවන්න කියලා when you just say it will automatically switch off. The conditioner will, what you call, work automatically. That of course is available sometimes, but let's say the curtains will automatically close when you just order or when you tell it will close. Smart rooms. Okay, so that is something that you expect to give the customer in the future. You don't have it now. So whatever product you have in your mind, you can break it into these levels. Making කියන්නේ මේක දියුණු කරාම මේ level එක ඊට පස්සේ මේක එහෙම නෙමෙයි. Okay, the basic is whatever you have, you can break it into these levels. So as a marketing person, what you would want to do is you have to make sure first your product has these three at least. Okay, මේ තුන අනිවාර්යෙන් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. Okay, if you can't even reach the expected level, then there is an issue. You have to look at those things and try to sort it. Then අපි හිතමුකෝ if you all of us are, let's say, hoteliers, අපිට hotels තියනවා කියලා. හරි. So then we broke down our product and we understood that these are our under all these categories, these are the let's say the points that we came up with. Then first you see, does my product offer the core benefit that the customer expect? එයා එන මූලිකම එයාගේ අවශ්‍යතාවය අපි එයා ඒක අපි කියන්නේ මේ තෘප්තිමත් කරනවද කියලා සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ do we satisfy that? If that is not there, there is no point of going to the next level. හරි ඒකම නැත්තම් එහෙම products තියෙනවා. Like if you go and buy something, let's say plastic එකක් මොකක් හරි toy එකක් ගත්තා කියමුකෝ බැටරි අරින් එහෙම වැඩ කරන toy එකක් අරගෙන පොඩි ළමෙක්ට හරි ගියදට ගෙනාම ඒක වැඩ කරන්නේ. What was the core benefit? It has to function නේ. එතකොට මුලින්ම ඒකම වැඩ කරන්නේ නැත්නම් එතන core benefit එකම ගිහිලා තියෙනවා. Okay, if it's not working. So things like you have to make sure that you're offering the core benefit. Okay, so now as an example, if you take vehicles, what is the core benefit of a vehicle expectation? මොකද අපි වාහනයක් පාවිච්චි කරන එකේ මූලික අවශ්‍යතාවය මොකක්ද අපේ තියෙන core benefit? Just think carefully, what is the core benefit of using a vehicle? What is it? ඔය වාහනයක් පාවිච්චි කරන එකේ බේසික්ම මේක මොකද්ද? What's the benefit that you want in using a vehicle? What is the benefit you need? Or why do you use a vehicle first? Just think and see. So what is it? Usually when you are using a vehicle, it's transportation. එක තැනකින් එක තැනකට යන්න. Okay, so that's what you want. So but if you're like say, if you're hiring a pick-me or something and the pick-me breaks, and mugging hori yeah, so convenience for basically transportation is the main core benefit, okay, of a vehicle. Then the convenience would be something that you expect it to be. Right? Okay, so you can look at it in that way also. Basic understanding of a vehicle is මේ තැන X ඉඳන් Y තැනකට යන්න. Okay, so if that alone, if that itself can't be provided, there is no point. Okay, if you buy a vehicle, okay, sometimes these second-hand vehicles, after some time it breaks or whatever, you loses the core benefit. Now, if you take Pickney also, it offers transportation. Okay, ඒ යනකොටම එක්කෝ එක්කෙනා මොකක් හරි එයාගේ වාහනේ නැවතුනොත් the main core benefit that you are looking for in that using that service is gone. Then you are dissatisfied a lot, no? Okay, so that is in terms of buying a vehicle, that is your core benefit. Generic product would be what you expect the vehicle will be, covered and all that. They'll have the wheels, proper wheels. Okay. එතන ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ fuel ගහලා තියෙයි. ඒ කියන්නේ සමහර කට්ටිය නැග ගමන් 3 වෙනක they say they want to pump මේ petrol. හරි අපි හිතනවා අපි නිකන් then we are getting dissatisfied, no? You are moving, but then they say they want, but you expect they will have the what do you call the I mean it will be full or they will have enough sufficient. නැත්නම් මොකටද මේක ගන්න දෙන්නේ කියලා හිතනවනේ මේ නැතුව. Generic product is you expect those things. Expected is you expect convenience. Now you might expect AC as a normal. If you're buying a vehicle, normal things now, right? AC. Okay, then you might want the radio system and all them to work. Now you need all they call internet, YouTube things. So of course you can watch nowadays on the vehicle itself. Expected. එක විදියක හරි. Then in a vehicle, the augmented product is what things that you can surprise the customer. The ඒ කාලේ කියන්නේ ඇත්තටම now you look at it like usually you would have said last year if I asked the question, augmented would be electronic vehicles. Okay. The other tarang it was not as popular in electronic vehicles last year this time. It was this year that it all kind of started coming in. Okay. So augmented at that time, maybe like early last year would have been electronic vehicles. Then their potential would have been in terms of vehicles in future, maybe driverless vehicles or something like that. Okay. So එහෙම එකක්. But also let's say about 10 years ago, okay, maybe the augmented was let's say about something that we maybe like having a, let's say, having video to be able to connect to internet on the vehicle would have been a augmented surprise kind of. Electronic vehicle කියන එක ඒ කාලේ it could have been a potential product. But now what has happened? It has come down a layer. Augmented product එකක් වෙලා කිව්වේ. දැන් කාලේ you can buy, it's available. Electronic vehicle is not a potential product anymore. Now it has gone down a layer. Okay, and a certain point, maybe after if we kind of discontinue using all these fossil fuel, petrol, diesel, sometime, someday, it might actually come here also. It could be the basic product. If all these, what do you call vehicles we use, petrol and diesel, go away, we might have that as an expected product. You never know. අපි මේක දැන් මෙහෙම කිව්වට මේවා පහළට එන්න පුළුවන්. Okay, so now say even the smart rooms. Someday, maybe in 5 years or 2 years also, you never know with the development of technology, it can be just augmented, but not a potential product. Then it's not as frequently what do you call it, good hammer, but he also, I think they opened a smart hotel somewhere. I remember, I think in Miris or somewhere. Okay. It is so if every hotel starts to use those, that could fall down, and after a certain time, maybe 10, 20 years, those things can be normal. So then these two will be completely different that we can't even think of. Okay, so but what basic understanding one is that, okay, make a then api mehema kiwat is not going to remain the same way, all these levels. Products will change. Certain product that with the way we look at it will change in terms of augmented and potential. But at a given point, then අද වෙනකොට මොකද්ද expected level එක consumer කෙනෙක්ගේ ඔයාගේ product එකට it has to be achieved. So you have to see whether the core benefit is there. Are we offering the basic thing that the consumers look for? Then you have to see the expected level එකට තියෙන ටික හරි දෙනවද? Then you can go, if all these are satisfied, then you can go on to this. Then in terms of your research and development and all, your management can think about developing this product. But there is no point of doing this or this without having this and this. තේරෙනවද මේ බේසික් එක අමතක කරලා කෝ බෙනිෆිට් එක වගේ පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ ට්‍රාන්ස්පෝර්ටේෂන් නම් ඒක අමතක කරලා මේවා ගැන හිතලා වැඩක් නැහැ. Then the product will go somewhere else. Okay, so things like that. So this is a good way to understand your product and to see where it can go. Okay, so it's a good what do you call not a theory but a tool you can use to classify your product levels. Right? So just have a look at it in terms of where you work. Even a service, you can do this. Banking now, what is the core benefit? Maybe if you are buying a what do you call a savings account, it is to keep your money safe, safety when they pull out for somebody. Okay, then based on that, what do you think? Maybe. Okay, those days, sometimes digital marketing, maybe being able to do banking on a mobile would have been a potential product. But now, it has augmented. Then expected level product now everybody's, people are, all the banks are encouraging the consumers to use the app. Then the chuttak tama samaharun take it surprise. Like, do you have it? People don't use it also much, but every bank offer it now. So it's actually somewhere in between. Samara katiya pavichi karana, that's the issue. Okay, maybe the banking in future could be entirely different. What they are trying to do or develop. Okay, so or whatever that you do, it could be a product or service, you can break it into these levels and see where it falls. Okay, that is also a good way to look at whether we are improving the product, okay, or not, or you will stand එක තැනමද තියෙන්නේ අපේ company එක. You can do those things, but you will take a product, not the company here. හරි මේ it can be, you might have different products, then you have to have put all those products one by one and think about these levels. Okay, so I hope you got the basic idea of it. This is about these product levels. It's very important for you to do this to see how you can improve. Do you all actually offer this to your customers or not? හරි මේ expected level එකවත් නැත්තම් මේවා ගැන හිතන්න කලින් you have to make sure you offer this. If it's a hotel room, if you are getting complaints from your consumers telling it's not clean. අපි room එකක් ගන්නකොට නිකන් ගන්න we pay, you don't expect the room not to be clean. ඒක clean එහෙනම් ඒක නම් ඒක ගොඩාක් complaints එනවා නම් it's not clean කියලා, then first you have to look at that level more than thinking of somehow when you're, especially this restaurant and all, when they start restaurants, they try to do all the fancy marketing අනම්මනම් කරන, but it's not clean. I mean, you complain kind, sometimes they put comments on Facebook and all that, but it's not good for your brand. But you are trying to expand the, what do you call, the branches. But if you have 3 in the country, now you want to have 5, 6. More than that, what you should do is make sure your product at least reaches this level. Then you all can think about the others. Okay, so that's how you have to look at it. This you can use for different things. Core benefit එක අඳුන ගන්නත් නෑ සමහරවිට. Sometimes, like I told you, some brands forget about the core benefit. If it's transportation, you have to make sure that is there first. Okay, so just that is one tool you can use. So now here we are moving into product classification. Okay, under product we talked about one thing was this product portfolio. Okay, how you put all the products in that the company offers into one, let's say one page, and see what you have, what you don't have, and things like that. Next is all those individual products. Okay, you can put it onto product levels like this and see what you can do in future, whether you are offering this. Okay, so things like that. From that, we go on to this thing called product classification. Okay, so there are few ways that we classify කියලා කියන අපි කියන්නේ කාණ්ඩගත කරන විදි කීපයක් තියෙනවා. We are going to talk about only 2. First is based on, let's say that these classifications help businesses to decide pricing, promotion, and distribution strategies. Again, price කරන්නේ කොහොමද, distribute කරන්නේ කොහොමද, supermarket එකේද දාන්නේ, or you're going to have your own shop. Okay, those things can be, this is not the only thing that impact those decisions. එකම දේ නෙමෙයි මේ තීරණ වලට බලපාන. This could be one. Okay, so in terms of product classification, the first one we are going to look at is the durability. What is durability? Durability කියලා කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? Durability කියලා කියන්නේ කොච්චර කල් පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන එක. හරි, so based on the durability, okay, and tangibility කියලා කියන්නේ කොච්චර අපිට කියන එක මනින්න පුළුවන්ද වගේ අදහසක්. හරිද? You have to put 1, 2, 3 here, not 1, 1, 1. Change that, okay, in your presentations. 1, 2, 3. හරි. First one is, so durability and tangibility කියන්නේ කොච්චර කල් පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්දයි අර මනින්න පුළුවන්ද කියන එක මත. Okay. First one we classify as durable goods. ඒ කියන්නේ දීර්ඝ කාලයක් පවතින භාණ්ඩ. Okay, so products that last for a long time and are used repeatedly. Then cars and all, considerable comparatively, you use it for a long time. No? Then furniture, appliances, land, houses, durable goods. You use it for a long time. And also you have the other one, the opposite of it is non-durable. කී ගොඩක් පාවිච්චි කරන්න බෑ. Especially things like soap, shampoo වගේ දේවල්. අවුරුදු ගණන් පාවිච්චි කරන්න, but there is no time duration defined for this. ඒකේ මේකට මෙච්චර මාස ගන්න පුළුවන්, වැඩි ඒවා durable, මෙච්චර මාස ගන්න පුළුවන්, අඩු ඒවා non durable කියලා එහෙම classification එකක් නෑ. නිකන් basic understanding එකකින් පොඩි කාලයක් පාවිච්චි කරන ඒවායි ලොකු කාලයක් පාවිච්චි කරන ඒවා කියලා තමයි අපි ගන්නෙ. Okay, so durable and non-durable. Non-durable will be especially food. You eat and that's it. Right? Soap. Okay, shampoo. food, any item of food. Okay, so those things are non-durable. So products consumed quickly and used up in one or few uses. Equipment ඉවර වෙනවා. Okay, so you might notice in terms of pricing. Okay, in terms of pricing, these are little what do you call, because it's durable, again non-durable equipment ඉවර වෙනවා මේවා ටිකක් ගණන් අඩුයි. But you can't say always. Like sometimes other things also might impact in general, right? Then the way that they do promotion for this and this is different. හැමදාම අපි ගන්න ඒවාට අපි හැම වෙලේම දකිනවා. Even if you go to a shop, you see, even a small shop, you see sunlight, or එමෙ ගහලා තියෙන දිගට. But if it's a car, you don't see like that. It's a little exclusive. Okay, then how do you do the promotion? Then distribution strategies. මේ මිනිස්සු හැමදාම ගන්න ඒවා හින්දා මේක පොඩි කඩෙත් තියෙනවා, සුපර්මාකට් එකෙත් තියෙනවා. Anywhere you can buy this stuff. And these are goods that you need for your usual use. But these, especially, we'll be talking about the use also here, okay? In terms of durability, these are a little different. So these could be, what do you call, these decisions can be made based on this categorization also. The final one is service. In the service එක කිව්වම you can't measure එක තමයි මේ tangibility කියලා කියන්නේ. Durability also, there is no duration for a service. Okay, එක පාරක් කරා, it's done. Let's say if you are going to a hospital, okay, ඒ වෙලාවේ nurse හරි කවුරුන් doctor හරි උදව් බැලුවා ලෙඩාව එතනින් එක ඉවරයි. You can't measure it. Durable වගේ මෙච්චර කාලයක් එහෙම බෑ. Service intangible. අල්ලන්නත් බෑනේ, it's gone. Okay, and cannot be owned. You can't say this is well product now, you can own it. But as a service, it's done, then it goes on. Then you move to the other customer. Okay, so it involves someone performing it or effort. මේ product කියන්නේ සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම වෙන එකක්. So that is in terms of durability and tangibility, how you classify product. Okay, durable goods, non-durable goods and services. Okay, there's another classification. Then මේක එක කාණ්ඩගත කරපු විදිහක්. තව එකක් තියෙනවා. Okay, that is based on consumer behavior. Okay, that means how the consumer behaves towards these products. Sometimes depending on the context, මේ එක වෙනස් වෙන්නත් පුළුවන්. එකම product එක දෙවිදිහකට මිනිස්සු දකින්නත් පුළුවන්. Let's just see in terms of consumer behavior this is. Okay, so first one is convenience goods. ඒ කියන්නේ අපිට නිතරම ඕනේවා. We don't put a big effort in buying those. And it's bought very frequently, low priced. We call those convenience goods. It could be food, snacks, toothpaste, newspaper, සාමාන්‍ය දේවල් ගොඩක් වෙලාට. අපි හැම වෙලේම පාන් එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Okay? But it's food. But if you say, you are going to, what do you call, go and eat at a hotel, that you don't do every day. එතකොට එයා ටිකක් වෙන තැනකට යනවා. These are convenient, හැම වෙලේම අපි කරන ඒවා. ඒවට අපි ලොකුවට we are not looking at the brand also sometimes. මේක නැත්තම් අපි අර කරන් යනවා because you need it. Okay, those are convenience good. දැන් අපි toothpaste එකක් ගත්තත්, let's say Signal, හරි එහෙම අපි නම කියලාම ගන්නවානේ. So those are convenience goods that we need, things that we need daily. Okay, next one is the shopping goods. Okay, bought less frequently. අරවට වඩා comparatively when a consumer buys it less frequently. එච්චර හැම වෙලේම ගන්න නැහැ. හැබැයි මේකට සාපේක්ෂව අඩුයි. First එකට සාපේක්ෂව අඩුයි කියලා කියන්නේ. Okay, now that is really rare නෙමෙයි. ගන්නෙම නෑ කලාතුරකින් නෙමෙයි. හැබැයි මේකට වඩා ටිකක් frequency එක අඩුයි. Okay, then consumers compare quality, price and style. Okay, people, now here you don't even sometimes අර අපි තුමුක sunlight නැත්තම් wonder light එකක් අරන් එනවා. Vim එක නැත්තම් vim මොකක්ද vim නෙමෙයි. Let's say මේ washing powder නැත්තම් වෙන එකක් ගන්නවා. You have to wash the clothes, so ඒක signal මේ හරි sunlight මේනවා කියලා ඉන්න කමැත්තෙන් හරි අරන් එනවා. It's okay, but here you might compare quality, price, style, and if you don't find it, you will go to the other shop, like especially like clothing, electronics, furniture. The may goods වෙනස් කියලා you understand that one basic thing is based on the consumer behavior. Consumersලා customersලා ගැන ඒවා ගන්න වෙලාවල් හරි එක ගන්නකොට දාන effort එක. Now here it's very minimal. මේ අපි ගොඩකට හිතන්නේ brand එක නම නම්. Okay, you might have a brand that you like, but if it's not there, you will buy the other one. But here you compare the quality, style, and everything. If it's clothing, if you don't like, you don't buy it. Electronics also like that, no phone and all. If you might have a brand that you like, you might maybe look for anything, okay, without a particular brand in mind, but still you put more effort into it. කට්ටියගෙන් අහනවා හරි ඊට පස්සේ maybe you will go on their website and check the features and all that. Okay, then furniture, those are shopping goods, but the difference is in terms of the consumer behavior. Okay, so convenience goods, shopping goods. The third one is called specialty goods. Okay, unique characteristics of brand identity. Buyers make special effort to purchase. Then මේකට වඩා they put effort here. If you have a particular brand, designer clothes, sports cars or whatever, okay, luxury watches, perfumes, and then you have a particular brand in mind most of the time for this. Okay, then it's like a special purchase for you. Okay, හැමදාම ගන්න එක අපිට මේ සබන් කැල් ලොකු ස්පෙෂල් ගතියක් නෑනේ අපේ ඔළුවට වුණා. You buy it and come. But here you know, in terms of your behavior as a consumer, you value it little more. You design a clothes, මොකක් හරි එකක් එහෙම නැත්නම් watch එකක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. There are people who like to collect watches. For them, it makes them feel very special for just by having it. Sometimes cars, some people buy at least. People who have all these classic cars, parana cars, they sometimes they collect it also. They have some special effort to purchase, or like they have some special reason behind it. Okay, the other one is unsold goods. Unsold goods කියලා කියන්නේ අපි මේවා හොයන්නේ සාමාන්‍යයෙන් unless you need a requirement. හරි දැන් මේ වගේ if you look at it, it comes from the consumer itself, but here it's driven by the requirement. ඒක අවශ්‍යතාවයක් එන්න ඕනේ ගන්න. මේ වගේ okay ඉවර වුණාම ගන්නවා තමයි, but you need no soap and all that usually. හරි ඒවා ලොකුවට මේවා හරි rare. If you need it, you will buy it. Okay, so consumers don't think of buying or don't know about them in some certain cases. Okay, don't think of buying කියලා කියන අපි ආදී insurance එකක් ගන්න ඕනේ. ආයෙත් එහෙම හිතන්නේ නැහැනේ අපි. Okay, if you need it, you will buy, get it for once and then that's it. Then funeral services. Remember now, let's say funeral services, somebody might die, then you might need those services. Then in the now they are actually what we call people provide those services also, but it's very rare people do, especially here. But still, if somebody dies, then you will pay. ඒක එච්චරයි එතනින් ඉවර හැමදාම මේ කොයි පෙට්ටියද ගණේක හිත ඉන්නේ නැහැ unless there's a requirement. Emergency tools. Maybe like when you're calling 1990 මේ emergency එක ඒ අවශ්‍ය වෙලාවට ඒ service එක ගන්නවා. නිකන් මේ ambulance කතා කර ඉන්නේ නැහැනේ. ඒ වගේ. When you need it, you will buy, but it's not a normal thing that you always think of buying unless it's required. You call them unsold goods. So if you're unsold good, if people need it only when they need it, you should know what එයාගේ ඔළුවට දාන්න what මේක ඕන නම් when you're marketing. Okay, if there is this service, if you need, tell us. If you need, tell us. That's why even in the ambulance and all, you have the numbers and all that, especially the private ones. Okay, funeral service. They can't go and put on television and tell there is this information and they are not going to look at it. And there is no point also investing too much for marketing, but you have to do it in a very clever way. May marshala make that is also marketing, no? That is also a business. Because this not this insurance, that insurance. How you communicate, because it's an unsold good. මිනිස්සු හැම වෙලේම හොයන එකක් නෙමේ. හරි ඒ අවශ්‍යතාවය ආවම ගන්න එකක්. So you have to put your brand in the consumer's mind. When they want it, they will recall your brand and come and buy it. Okay, so those are in terms of consumer behavior, how you classify products. Convenience goods, shopping goods, specialty goods, and unsold goods. Hari, so remember, we looked at in terms of classification. Okay, first one is based on durability and tangibility. Durability කියලා කියන්නේ කොච්චර කල් තවත් තියා ගන්න පුළුවන්ද කියන එකයි. Tangibility කියලා කියන්නේ අපිට එක කිරලා මනින්න පුළුවන්ද කියන එක. Based on those two, we had durable goods, non-durable goods, and services. Okay, the next classification was in terms of consumer behavior. You have convenience goods. හැම වෙලේම අපි ගන්න දේවල් කියලා හිතුවොත් හරි. Then shopping goods. චුට්ටක් අපි ටිකක් effort දාලා specialty goods. Okay, and then unsold goods. But all these, whatever, I think most of the products that you all use can be put under this. එහෙම. So things like that. Next one, we go on to this, what do you call, an important concept that you have to learn under product. Okay, again, this thing called product life cycle. අපි සාමාන්‍ය ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින් මේ you use the word PLC කියන එකක් පාවිච්චි කරනවා මේ මාකටිං වල කට්ටිය ගොඩක් වෙලාවට to kind of quickly, to understand PLC කියන එක අපේ PLC එක ගා you kind of use it sometimes. Product life cycle. Okay, so this is basically, remember this, even for your exams you might get it, even if you exam එකට ආවත් නැතත් it might be helpful for you all to understand your product also. What it says simply is that අපි සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ මේ නිෂ්පාදිත ජීවන චක්‍රය කියන එක. Like අපි කියන්නේ we also have no our life cycle as a human being. මිනිස්සෙක් විදිහට අපිටත් තියෙනවා අපේ life cycle. ඒ වගේ a product also has a life cycle. Okay, so based on this chart, you can do a lot of things in marketing. So this is very important for you all to understand. Okay, you all can see where your product is at the moment. Make it. We'll see what these sections are and then decide what to do based on that. Okay, so if you take a product life cycle, it has 4 main sections like this: introduction, growth, maturity, decline. Introduction is when you basically introduce the product at the very beginning. Now make up the chart is based on sales and time. Can time කියලා කියන්නේ කාලය. වේලාව නෙමේ. හරි උදේ 7-8 කියන එක නෙමේ කාලය. හරි time කියලා කියන්නේ sales කියලා කියන්නේ වෙන sales ප්‍රමාණය. So at the very beginning, usually what at an introductory level, a general, what do you call, a normal product life cycle. Okay, somehow there could be little differences also where you start at a very higher level and then drastically that also depends on the marketing. But in general, this is the product life cycle we what do you call study. Okay, so introduction usually at a very beginning stage, it's usually less. People don't know about the product. No. So what happens is when you introduce a product, usually it gradually grows. මිනිස්සු එක දැනගන්න කාලෙත් එක්ක හිමීට sales වැඩි වෙනවා. So depending on the product, this could be 10 days, this could be 1 month, this could be 3 months, sometimes it could be year. A product එකේ nature එක අනුව. Okay, it could be, it depends on. Sometimes a soap like might take little 3 or 6 months to get to the growth stage. Sometimes it could be days if you do your what you call marketing and all very what you call very අපි කියන්නේ මොකද rigorously හැම වෙලේම මොකක් හරි strong marketing campaign. Sometimes it could be even few days for a maybe fashion brand or whatever. Okay, it depends, but in general, depending on the product, it might change. You have an introductory period, main introduction. අපි කියන්නේ හඳුන්වා දෙන කාලේ sale එක අඩුයි. Okay, then what happens is after some time now when people get to know about it, then only your sales start to pick up. Let's say if මොකක් හරි clothing brand එකක් 6 months වගේ introduction එකට අරගෙන දැන් ටික ටික මිනිස්සු එක ගැන දැනගන්නවා. Then it starts to grow. Now people are used to the product. Now sometimes even for a clothing company, it could be 3 years also සමහර වෙලාවට. මිනිස්සුන්ගේ ඔළුවට ඒක යන්න. Okay, then you kind of go to a, let's say the growth level. එතන තමයි දැන් එතන හොඳයි. That's good to be in this space. Growth කියලා කියන්නේ ඔයගේ sales දියුණු වෙනවා උඩට drastically. මේ දියුණු වෙන වේගය වැඩි. Sales වැඩි වෙන වේගය වැඩි වෙන. Okay, that you call the growth stage. Then after a certain point, every product, okay, it goes through this maturity. Maturity කියලා කියන්නේ උපරිම sales ප්‍රමාණයට ගිහිල්ලා මේක එක level එකකට එනවා. ඔබලගේ whatever you do, wherever you all are working, this applies, okay? You all might be in this stage, but then you all should know at a certain point after you sorry, after you come to this point, එක ගානට එනවා කියලා දැනගන්න. You should know it will happen. You can't always be growing all the time. Okay? මිනිස්සු වැඩි වෙන්නේ නැහැනේ ලෝකෙ එහෙම. ඒ ඉන්න ගානට පවතින at a certain point, okay? Even if all the, I was going to tell you, even if all the people buy your product in the world, ඒ තියෙන ගානට විතරයි ඒක ගාන ඊට පස්සේ නිකම් මිනිස්සු හදන්න බෑනේ එහෙම. Okay, so you get to a maturity stage. And then after that, what happens is, which you don't do anything to the brand, now උඩටම ගියා පස්සේ it goes through a decline stage. පහළට යනවා. Now වල සමහර brands ඉස්සර තිබ්බ දැන් නෑ ඉස්සර තරම් එච්චර මේක නෑ ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ decline stage එක. Okay, පහළට යනවා. But they were at a certain point, maybe they had a very, what you call a very, අපි කියන්නේ very high growth. හොඳට දැනගන්න ඕකෙන් දැන් රටේම කට්ටිය දැනගන්නත් ඇති ඊට පස්සේ හොඳට තියෙනදි දැන් ඒක එච්චර නෑ කියලා අපි නිකන් කියනවා ඒක තාම තියනවාද. We do know whether it's there, but at a certain point it was doing very well. It's their declining stage. පහළට යනවා. Every product or service or all those components we discussed in the first class, it goes through this life cycle. ඔයගොල්ලෝ service එකක් දුන්නා, creative service එකක් දුන්නා. They all wanna, I think, digital provider, sales service provider කෙනෙක් ඉන්නා නැත්නම් if you're a designer, that also applies if you are running a hospital, if you are working in a hospital, ඒ හැම එකේම තියෙනවා. Okay, there's a declining stage. So now we'll go to this and I'll tell you all how you all can use this for your marketing, in terms of understanding your product also and how to do things based on where you are. Okay, let's just try to introduce this. So first is any product, okay? You have the introduction stage. The product is launched. හරි මෙතන product එක launch කරලා ඉවරයි. Awareness is low. Launch කරපු ගමන් මිනිස්සු එච්චරම ලොකුවට දන්නේ නැහැ. Awareness is at a lower stage. And marketing costs are high. Why is it high? You have to now do marketing for people to get to know about the product. Okay, then මෙතනම sometimes people don't invest much or they don't have the capacity. So ඒක ඒ වෙලාවට ඒ විදිහටම තියෙයි in a same level. Okay, usually at a launch, people put a lot of marketing effort into it. නේ ගොඩක් වියදම් කරනවා marketing වලට when you are launching the product. So then one thing you have to know is the awareness is low. මිනිස්සු ඒක ගැන දන්න ප්‍රමාණය වැඩි. So based on how you do your marketing here, okay, then your other stage will also kind of fall into place. ඒකේ මේ growth එක අපි හිතමු කොහොම හොඳ marketing campaign එකක් කරාම සමහරට මේ introduction stage එක මෙන්න මේ වගේ ගානේ යන්න පුළුවන් මේ කියලා. Okay, so සමහරට ඔන්න ඔහම වගේ යයි introduction stage එකම. Okay, or sometimes you don't do a good campaign, it might be this also. චුට්ටක් උඩට යනවා. People anyway, you might have at least one or two sales na චුට්ටක් හරි උඩට යයි. හරි? But depending on the effort that you put in here, it could be this stage might be end up here or even in the middle stage also. Okay? Then the next stage is growth stage. Okay? මේ දෙවැනි එක sales increase rapidly. Anutra, are you going to ask something? Can't hear you. If you have any question, tell me, okay? So then okay, no problem. Okay, so in the growth stage, දෙවෙනි එකේ වෙන්නේ sales increase rapidly. Then people get to know about it in the growth stage. Okay, profit rise. Then මිනිස්සු දන්නවනේ දැන් මේක I'm going to erase the other two. Okay, otherwise you'll be confused. අරක මනික අරක කියන්න ගියේ how well you do your marketing campaign will determine whether you end up here or end up here. Okay, then you go on to your growth stage. දෙවෙනි එක here naturally usually your sales start increasing rapidly. ඉක්මනට sales grow වෙනවා. මොකද දැන් මිනිස්සු මේ brand එක ගැන ටිකක් අපි ගැන දැනුවත් වෙනවා. හරි, then profits rise. Obviously when the sales are improving, your profits will rise and competitors may enter. Okay, sometimes you might go and put in a like it's clothing, already your competitors are there, but when you now get to know them, people know that you are also entering into the market. Now you will start seeing them as competitor. You will start looking at what other people are doing, other brands are doing. Okay, so then is what happens is you are expanding the market because it's growing. Is that this is also a good place to be. Right? A trending smartphone gaining popularity. ඒ වගේ some example. Okay, then after that, like I told you, at a certain point, this will go on to a mature stage. Okay, හැම වෙලේම මේම දිගට යන්න යන්නේ unless you change something in the product or marketing or whatever, right? ඒක එක තැනකදී නවතිනවා. But this is also not a bad stage to be because you are at the top. උපරිමට ගිහිලා එක ළඟින් යනවා maturity stage. Okay? Sales peak and stabilize, market becomes saturated. It stops. The growth stops. Okay? Competition is intense. Now you are competing, you are a well-known brand and all that. You are a upcoming brand. ටිකකට කල් ගියාන් පස්සේ ඒක competition එකක් තියෙනවා and you that is your fullest potential. Now even if you take something like Coca-Cola, okay, they are here because Coca-Cola lokema danna, they are kind of mating it at the same level. Okay, now we'll come discussing those things only now. Okay, then the declining stage is then after a certain point, sales and profit decline due to changing in consumer needs and new technologies. පහළට යනවා. හරි දැන් DVD player එකක් වගේ බලන්නකෝ. They also had a growth stage at a certain point. දැන් අපි DVD CD ගන්නෙවත් නෑනේ. Now ඊට අර පහළටම ගිහිලා අපි කියන්නේ මේ ප්‍රොඩක්ට් එක මැරිලා වගේ it goes to a natural death. Okay, unless you change it. Okay, then this is without doing any change to the product or your communication style and all that. Okay. Now, this is how companies use these things to identify what you do. දැන් මේක ඉගෙන ගත්ත එක හරි. දැන් මේක තමයි stages 4. ඒක හරි. Okay? If I ask in the exam what are the stages? Introduction, growth, maturity, decline. But there is something to it when you are using it in a practical way that you can interpret how to do things. මේක ඊට වඩා එහාට ඔයගොල්ලන් සාමාන්‍ය ජීවිතේ පාවිච්චි කරන්න ඕනේ. Okay, now when you say introductory, what do you call section? One thing like I told you all, how well you do your campaign will determine whether your introductory stage ends up here, ඒ වගේ. හරි? So then you have to understand මේකේ තියෙන ඔයාගේ දෙන effort එක අනුව මෙයාගේ ඊළඟ stage එකේ potential එක එක්ක මෙහෙම යන්න පුළුවන් මෙහෙම යන්න පුළුවන්. growth එකක් නේ. Basically, if it's your marketing is more powerful, more people will get to know about it. If it's little mediocre කියලා සාමාන්‍ය විදිය campaign එකක් නම් සාමාන්‍ය මිනිස්සු දැනගයි ඒ growth එකක් තියෙයි. හැබැයි ඔයා මෙතන දාන effort එක අනුව ඒක හොඳද පල්ලෙහාද කියලා determine කරා. ඊට පස්සේ එන එකේ flow එක එන්නේ මේවා මුලදී දෙන weight එක අනුව. හරි, in a normal way without changing anything. Okay, if you feel like it's poor here, okay, then you might change your marketing campaign and then ඒකත් උඩට ගන්න පුළුවන්. No මේ මුකුත් වෙනස් නොකර මේ momentum එක ගන්න විදිය I'm just telling you. Okay, so one could look at it in that way. Then you have to see how do I do the best campaign that I can do, because මුලදී කරාන් පස්සේ that gives you අපි කියන්නේ lot of momentum කියලා කියන්නේ. මුලදීම හොඳයි නම් මෙතන ඔයාලට පොඩ්ඩක් අඩුයි කියලා තේරුනොත් then you have to invest and do a campaign again. But if you get it right at the very beginning itself, it's helpful to you. Okay, you have to get your product right. This is not only about, let's say, advertising. Okay, social media දාලා campaign කරන එක විතරක් නෙමෙයි. It could be in terms of distribution. කොහෙද ඔයාගේ product එක දාන්නේ? shops මොනවද? ඒ හරි තැන මුලින්ම පටන් ගන්න ඕනේ. දැන් මේකේ අදහස් කරන්නේ ඔයාගේම shop එකක් පටන් ගන්නවා වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. If it's a product, you can put it in supermarkets. Then what are the supermarkets? Sometimes what you decide might, it will impact your sales. Okay, then the growth stages, then it might take you somewhere. Okay, this is also a healthy place to be. Then what you have to know is that growth එකක් එනවා හොඳයි හැමදාම හැම මාසෙම sales improve වෙනවා. Then you all will be very happy. හොඳයි hospital නම් okay, people are getting to know about it. Okay, patients are coming in. Okay, and then you might listen to all these comments on Facebook. Everything's positive. එහෙම කියලා මුකුත් වෙනස් කරන්න නැතුව if you stay just like that, okay, one thing is if it's good, you don't go to change a lot of things also, but you have to know at a certain point, ඔයා මේක හැම අවුරුදු මේ ආයතන or the brand එක පවතින තාක්කල් මේක උඩට යන්නේ නැහැ කියන එක දැනගෙන ඉන්න ඕනේ. You all have to remember that. It's not going to be always growing. Because sometimes what as business people sometimes sorry you again so sometimes you all kind of forget is that you don't do anything you think it'll හැම වෙලේම එහෙම කෙලින්ම it'll go up you all think it'll do that sales it doesn't happen like that at some point something like I told you it could be in 5 years මේ growth period එක සමහර brands වලට අවුරුදු 5ක් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Okay, for some it could be 1 year also. දැන් සමහර කඩවල් තියෙන අද තියෙනවා හොඳට මිනිස්සු වෙනවා අවුරුද්දකින් බැලුවම වහලා. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ මේක ගිහිල්ලා ඉවරයි අවුරුද්දක ඇතුළත. Okay, so what you know is this is a very good place to be. Then still also you will be investing, you will be doing campaigns, okay, you will be continuing your advertising and all that. But what you do remember is now after certain point කවදා හරි මේක එක තැනකට නවතිනවා කියලා you have to keep in mind. Okay, so if you forget that, you don't do අපි කියන research and development, understanding the consumer, ඒවා ඔක්කොම මිනිස්සු නවත්තනවා ගොඩක් වෙලාවට. Thinking that it's very not these top brands, when you say if you are starting a business, ඒ විදිහටම කරගෙන යනවා, you have to remember when you are at a growth, at one point it'll hit maturity කියන එක. Okay, so remember that. Introduction, growth, all these are good positive places to be. Only thing is after you are when my experience කරනකොට maturity growth එක එනකොට දැනගන්න ඕනේ ඔළුවෙන් at a certain point it's going to hit its fullest potential. අර මං කිව්වා වගේ ලෝකේ ඉන්න හැම මිනිස්සයාටම product එකක් දුන්නත් සීමාවක් තියෙනවා. ඒ මිනිස්සුන්ට විතරයි එක්කෙනාට එක ගානේ දුන්නත් එතනින් නවතිනවනේ. Obviously you can't reach everybody in the world, but that's an example. හරි? දැන් Coca-Cola කියන බ්‍රෑන්ඩ් එක ලෝකේ ඉන්න හැමෝම දන්නවා. ඒ කියන ලෝකේ හැමෝටම දුන්නත් එක දවසක ඒක maturity එකක් එනවා. එක ගානකට sales යනවා. I'm not saying it's like the same sale one එකක් එහෙට මෙහෙට යයි, but at a certain level. Okay, so you have to know unless you do something, it's going to reach this. So sometimes at this point, companies, what do? They introduce new, if it's like a food item, they introduce new flavors. Or they do new campaigns. මේ growth එක දිගටම තියාගන්න. That's how you have to look at this life cycle. And it's very interesting also to see. දැන් සමහර නිකාං මිනිස්සු launch කරන්නේ ඒගොල්ලන් එක දේවල් වෙනස් කරන අර කියන product portfolio තිබ්බ එක ඒවා introduce කරන්නේ to make sure it keeps at in a growth stage. Or they will do for like say අවුරුදු වලට හැමදාම එකම campaign, they do a new campaign. They might be doing well as a brand, but they do campaigns, they open new shops. ඇයි මිනිස්සු එහෙම කරන්නේ මේක මේ එක දිගට growth එක තියාගන්න if you are looking at everything from a marketing point of view. Okay? දැන් එහෙම කළා after certain point කොච්චර කරත් any product if you don't change it, it's going to hit a maturity rate. So this is not a bad place to be. මොකද උපරිමයට ඇවිත් දැන් Coca-Cola, we consider Coca-Cola to be what do you call the most valuable brand in if you take off all the tech brands in the world. Like tech brands ටික අයින් කරාන් පස්සේ අනිත් products ඔක්කොගෙම තියෙන ලෝකේ තියෙන valuable brand එක විදිහට අඳුන ගන්න අපි Coca-Cola. Okay, so that is more at this level. What they do is Coca-Cola, Sunlight, what do they do? You always see advertisements, no? What they are doing is they are expanding this maturity මේ ස්ටේජ් එක. දැන් මේක සමාන වෙන්ද කියලා මේවා සමානව තියෙන්න ඕනේ. ඒගොල්ලන් මේක එක දිගට තියාගෙන යනවා. පහළට යන්න දෙන්නේ නැහැ. Okay, that is also good tactic, no? If you look at it. දැන් ඒගොල්ලන් දන්නා ඒගොල්ලන් මුකුත් කරේ නැත්නම් communication දැන් what do you call this Coca-Cola and rely on heavy on Christmas. ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ Christmas campaigns හරිම ගොඩ they spend a lot and people wait for it to see, not so in our countries. අපි ලොකුවට Christmas වල Coca-Cola advertising, but that is a normal thing, especially in the Western countries. The Christmas gives them a lot of what you call marketing. Let's say අපි කියන marketing වලින් පොඩ අලුත් වෙන්න ඒගොල්ලන් හරියට Christmas event එක පාවිච්චි කරනවා. Okay, that is a festival, but market is look at it as an event. Okay, So then from through that අර අවුරුද්දේ පොඩ්ඩක් බහුව වෙලා අර ක්‍රිස්මස් වලින් ආපහු එක ගන්නකට. People want to see the advertisements and all that. So they try to extend this level here without letting it decline. ඒකටත් අර strategies පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. Either you can what do you call branch out සමහර ලංකාව ඇතුළේම තියෙන brands නම් they try to do to launch in different countries to make sure it grows again. Okay, or you look at introducing new products, doing new marketing campaigns, different things you can do, but whatever you do, actually you're playing with the product life cycle. ඒක තමයි කරන්නේ ඕනම වෙලාවක ඇත්තටම ඔයගලන් බැලුවොත් හරි. So you all can do this for your own brand also and see depending on where you think it is. Hurry, you can take the entire brand also and you can take different products also and put this in this and see. Hurry, if it's at a maturity stage, what you have to do now is ටික කාලෙකින් අපි මුකුත් කරේ නැත්නම් it's going to fall down. Then what do you do to make sure it doesn't fall down or it goes up, or to make sure it remains at that maturity level? Okay, sometimes you might change the product, you might change the packaging. මිනිස්සු එහෙමත් කරන packaging එක පොඩ්ඩක් වෙනස් කරලා it works sometimes. Okay, but if you are at a declining stage also, then මෙහෙම පල්ලෙහාට යනවා නම්, okay, now in terms of business, what they do, sometimes they merge companies and කරන්නේ declines. Then when you know there is nothing you can do, especially when there are technological different, like say Nike and Nokia. Okay, when they brought the phone, it didn't everybody used it. Okay, it had a growth and it had a maturity, and they had the highest market share. After a certain time, when the technology changed to smartphones, they started declining. Now at that stage, they got a product taking because the entire technology is not going to be relevant after some time. DVD wage I මොනවද කරන්නේ marketing campaign කරනද? No, everybody's not now. We are not don't even have DVD players now. No. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ laptop එකේ කීපාර කොච්චර how often do you use your CD drive? CD එකක් දාන්නම නැති තරම්නේ. දැන් USB වගේ එහෙම. හරි, there will be a certain point where USBs also are not used. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ගේ in your lifetime itself, you all have products coming in and dying also, decline stage උත් යන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලන් දැකලා තියෙනවානේ. DVD, I think, I don't know how old they all are, but DVDs came, it has gone also. ඉතින් ඒක මේ product එක මේ ඔක්කොම ගිහිල්ලා ඉවරයි stages. There's no point of bringing it back also, we are moved on. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ වෙලාවක either if you look at the company, they have to go with the new technology and launch a new product. Now what happened to Nokia was they didn't do that at the beginning, but later on, after they had a big hit, ඒකේ market share එක ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ company එකත් කියන්නේ ගොඩක් ප්‍රශ්න වුණාන් පස්සේ then only they started introducing their own smartphone. But they are again regaining a little bit on that side. But the one product completely died. හරි එහෙම. Like Kodak cameras and all that. අපි ඉස්සර we used to have cameras, no? At least everybody had, not everybody, at least in the house we used to have. But now you all don't have camera, you use the phone. That is also in a way decline, but they cater it to only photographers who are passionate. Unless you are a photographer, you like photography, you don't have a camera now. ඒ පොඩි මාකට් එකට ඒක cater කරනවා. හැබැයි අරක වෙන ටෙක්නොලොජි වලින් මොකක් හරි ඒ කැලේ වහගන්න මොකක් හරි එකක් කරන්න ඕන. Companies like Kodak. Okay, those are companies which went through the entire decline. Hey, wage strong companies, so if it goes down, definitely you all have to remember, even your product might, or company in general might decline one day. So then you have to come up. මේ හැම stage එකෙම කරන්න දේවල් තියෙන එක. එකකවත් you can't just be like that and see, but it doesn't mean, usually in marketing what we say is if it's working, don't change. If තියෙන දේ හොඳයි නම් වෙනස් කරන්න එපා කියලා කියන්නේ. හැබැයි මේක වෙනස් කර ගියාම ඒකේ potential එකට යනවා කියලා තමයි මේක කියන්නේ. එහෙම නැත්නම් ඒක හොඳ නෑ කියන එක නෙමෙයි. When you are kind of noticing that the sales are at a plateau, අපි කියන්නේ වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැතුව යනවා, then you need to notice then yeah, it's like this. Now we have to do something at a certain point to put it up again. So sometimes your product life cycles might be ඔහොම යනවා, ආයෙ මෙහෙම වෙනවා, ආයෙ ඔහොම යනවා, ඔහොම යනවා, ඔහොම කොහොමම වෙනස් කර කර යන්නේ. සමහර මේ වෙලා මේවත් මෙතන you introduce a new product, entirely new product, you change the marketing campaign, මේක මේතර ගියම් marketing campaign වෙනස් කරනවා. Now how do you think Coca-Cola is a brand which has been there for more than 100 years? අවුරුදු 100කට වඩා කොහොමද බ්‍රෑන්ඩ් එකක් තියාගන්නේ මෙහෙම නොකර? That's how they have done it. Okay, so literally everybody let's unless කීප දෙනෙක් කරන්නේ හැමෝම වගේ බ්‍රෑන්ඩ් එක අඳුරනවා. That is like the most recognized brand in the world, also Coca-Cola. Okay, so how do you do that? They do this in terms of different tactics. So that is how you should use this in when you do marketing. That's the point of it. හරි ඔයගොල්ලෝ මේ stages ඉගෙන ගත්ත එක හරි. හැබැයි ඒක කොහොමද පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන් කියන එක දැනගන්න ඕනේ. That is the important part if you look at it, no? Not just learning. හරි නිකන් මේ නිකන් මතක් කරගෙන මේක පාඩම් කරන එක නෙමෙයි. ඒක කොහොමද පාවිච්චි කරන්න එක තමයි. Then you look at it in that way. It's very interesting. Okay, so this is the product life cycle. Know what the 4 stages are. Remember, even though this is මේක මේ සමානව කොටු 4කට ඇදලා තිබ්බට මේකෙන් අදහස් කරන්නේ introduction එක මාස 4යි, growth එක මාස 4යි එහෙම නෙමෙයි. It depends. Okay, like I told you all, you can මේ growth එකේ මේ stage එක increase කරගන්න පුළුවන් ඒ කරන දේවල් අනුව. Okay, then සමහරවිට එක එක now there's this thing we usually draw for different products. Sometimes you have an introductory period, you have a growth, you have a maturity. The next day itself it might decline. If a new technology comes, ඒකේ අවශ්‍යතාවය මිනිස්සුන්ට නැති වෙනවා. now අපි හිතමුකෝ ඕගලන්ට COVID mask එක. හරි now COVID mask it was used for medical usually. So the people who were producing ඔය වගේ තැනක ඉන්න ඇති. Okay, and what happened? එකපාර මෙහෙම growth එක උඩට ගියා. Okay, and then they didn't have time මේ මම දන්නේ කොහෙන්ද මේක අදින්නේ කියලා උඩින්. Okay, for maturity one ගොඩක් තිබ්බේ නැනේ අපිට අවශ්‍යතාවය නැති වුණානේ. And it declined. දැන් ඒක revive කළ වැඩකුත් නෑ අපිට මේ නිකන් අපිට එහෙම අවශ්‍යතාවයක් නෑනේ. So then that's it for it. Unless another pandemic or something comes and we need to do. So understand what you understand is that depending on different products, this would be different. Okay, so I'm going to move on to the exam. Took some time because it's very interesting to look at it in that way. And I hope you all understood this. Okay, the 4 parts. මම කිව්වා වගේ කටපාඩම් හරි මේ මොකද්ද කියන එක දැනගන්න. හැබැයි ඒක පාවිච්චි කරන එක දැනගන්න එක තමයි ගොඩක් වැදගත්. Okay. So from this, I'm going to this. Okay, let's see, maybe we can do only the packaging part. Okay, now with product, especially another main what we call aspect. I mean, this is from my signature. Sorry, the signature. I'm not forgotten to erase those certain words. Okay, so when you say product, okay, you can't forget about the packaging. Because if you look at it sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time, you all actually buy the packaging or you are tempted to buy a product through the packaging that's given. If you look at it, that's the case most of the time. අර අපි කිව්ව consumer goods වලට වගේ ගොඩක් වෙලාවට අපි ගන්න වෙලාවකට ඒකේ තියෙන පෙනුම දැකලා packaging. That's why I put this because sometimes this can come under this packaging part can come under this product part also or under promotion. Product price place promotion එකේ promotion component එකක් මේකේ ඉන්න පුළුවන්. But I put it here because product and packaging can't be, you know, what you call can't be placed in 2 places. It's kind of the same. If you look at it, if you are buying tea leaves or whatever take කුඩු හරි මොකක් හරි ගන්න සමහර වෙලාවට අපි අලුත් එකක් try කරනකොට ඒකේ packaging එක දැකලා තමයි අපි අලුත් ඒවා ගන්න. You don't even know what's inside. Even if it's a soap, අපි soap එක ඇල්ල බලන්නේ නැහැ. ඇතුලේ මොනවද තියෙන්නේ කියලා අලුත් එකක් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා. ඒකේ ගහලා තියෙනවා මේක මෙහෙමයි, අල්ක මෙහෙමයි. මේකේ අඩුයි කියලා that is also packaging, communicating that it's less. But you don't know what's inside, but you are buying it based on what was said in the packaging. Okay, sometimes the packaging might tell you if whether the brand is premium or not. අපි තුමු ටිකක් ගෝල් වගේ පාට පාවිච්චි කරලා තිබ්බම ඕවා වෙලාවකට අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ගන්නේ අපි මේ ප්‍රීමියම් බ්‍රෑන්ඩ්ස් ගන්න යන්නේ නැහැ නේ තේබුණ මොකක් හරි. then අර අපි කිව්වකෝ සුපර් මාකට්ස් වල එක දිගට පැකේජ් ඉඳලා ටිකක් ගෝල් වගේ තියෙනවා අපි බලන්නෙත් නැහැ. You are just buying for your daily use, then the packaging tells you it's premium, it's expensive. You don't even, look at it. But these are some mistakes sometimes when packaging people do in terms of designing of not this known brands. Of course, they of course know. ඒක දැන් cheap කියලා කියන්නේ හොඳ නැති අදහසකින් නෙමෙයි. If the price is, if you want everybody to buy your product, regardless whether they can spend a lot or not. දැන් sunlight වගේ එකක් හදන්නේ හැමෝටමනේ. Everybody uses. So if they use a very premium packaging, the communication is going to get අපි කියන්නේ යාට අවශ්‍ය දෙයි එයා බලාපොරොත්තු වෙන දේ දෙකක් වෙනවා. Maybe we might if it comes in a gold and silver වගේ packaging hitting the sunlight આવුත් අපි හිතනවා මේකේ ගණන් වැඩි කියලා. But it comes in the yellow one for ඉරන්නත් පුළුවන් කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. It's not comparatively ඒක දාබ packaging එකක් නේ. But it communicates what it is. හැම වෙලේම සමහර විටන ලස්සන වෙන්න ඕනි හොඳ වෙන්න ඕනි වටිනාකම් වැඩි වෙන්න ඕනි but then you say after the sales you say it's not selling. One problem is with this packaging, you're not communicating the proper image what you want to communicate. So that's why basic understanding of why I put this here is because product when you are buy most of the time you buy because of the packaging. Okay, where sometimes you be using say same tea brand පොඩ්ඩක් වෙන එකක් පාවිච්චි කරන්නේ because the packaging might tell it's this or that or whatever you will want to change and see. The වෙලාවකට මම අද අලුත් එකක් ගත්තා වගේනේ you want to just try it out and see sometimes. So when you say packaging, it's not just to pack කරලා නිකන් දෙන අදහසක් නෙමෙයි ලස්සන විතරකුත් නෙමෙයි. So these few things that we are going to discuss now, it's usually communicated or used for packaging is used for these things, okay? Or it gives these things. First thing is it protects the product. In a more simple sense, ඒකනේ කරන්නේ. හරි, it protects the product and it gives you can අපි කියන්නේ transport කරන්න පුළුවන් එක තමයි convenience කියලා කියන්නේ, okay? Main first thing is it provides protection. දැන් එකක්වත් packaging නැතුව තිබ්බනම් හිතන්නකො even with soap sometimes things might get damaged and all that, so it provides protection. So it is a part of the product. Okay, then if you want to start a juice company or juice එක හදන එක ගැන විතරක් නෙමෙයිනේ හිතන්නේ. In terms of a product, you look at whether they are going to use a cup, whether they are going to use a plastic cup or a paper cup, what is the design. ඒව ඔක්කොම හිතනවානේ product එක ගැන මේ කෙලිම juice එක විතරක් හිතන්නේ. So that's why it's just you can't divide the packaging and a product. Now, okay, so first one is protection. It gives protection, okay? It safeguards the product from damage, contamination and tampering due to transportation. Transport වෙන හින්දා එතකොට වෙන damages වගේ storage වලින් වෙන්න පුළුවන් damages and handling. Okay, so first thing that you get from a packaging is protection. Right, that is understood. No, I think all understand. Next one is attraction. But I told you all we usually buy the packaging. ඇතුලේ පොල් කුඩුද තේ කුඩුද දන්නෙත් ගන්නවා packaging එකකින්ද. You trust it also, okay? Attraction. So good packaging design grabs attention and helps the product stand out on shelves, influencing buying decision. One of the main functions of a packaging is this to attract consumers. Okay, sometimes to attract it doesn't mean it has to be very premium. Unless you do what you call you're into that trade, designing and all that, sometimes when you're starting off and all that, people think nice is always good. Sometimes a little more simple could work to your audience. It depends. Okay, then attraction. Next one is information. It gives information. Then ඔයා ගත්ත ගමන් බලන්නේ කොච්චර ගාණක් එක තියෙන්න බෑ. Otherwise, turn this side and that side, the price is not given. What do? You keep and you take the other brand and check the price. If that's available, you buy it sometimes. Information නැත්තම් you give it out. Maybe what you have if it's like tea, if we stick to the same example, it might be the best one out of the lot. හැබැයි ඔයාගේ packaging එකේ information නැත්තම් ඔයා ඒක තියලා වෙන එකකට යනවා. ඒතර product එක නරක වුණා කියන එකෙන් අදහස් වෙන්නේ packaging එකේ price එක නැති එක. Okay, that's why I'm telling you all can't put the packaging and product in two places. Okay, so one is information. Like if it's food, you have to indicate what the ingredients are and things like that. Okay, so it communicates essential details like usage, instructions, ingredients, expiry date, brand, and legal information. You have to have branding, okay? So things like that, right? And next one is convenience. Okay, packaging makes a product easy to carry. When you are given a packaging, now usually when you design, you think about how the person will put it in a bag, whether there is a handle or not. And ඒ වගේ දේවලුත් හිතනවා. Okay, whether they can use it for some other purpose. Then you will have that brand with the thing. You might take පාවිච්චි කරන් පස්සේ packaging එක වෙලාවකට අපි තියාගන්නවානේ. You might use it for different purposes, but it's also good in a way because the brand, the name and all is still on there. Okay, so convenience is one other thing. Okay, of course you can take it like that. The next one is the brand identification. You use it for identification, especially the branding. Okay, so it reflects the brand's identity and values, helping build recognition and emotional connection with consumers. It communicates to you what the brand is. Has සමහරවිට අපි හිතනවා මේගොල්ලන්ගේ හැම වෙලේම ලස්සනයි packaging. මේගොල්ලන්ගේ එහෙම නැහැ. Sometimes you think these things like that. Brand identification. Now, one good example is our dairy brands. අපේ local මොනවද අපි කියන්නේ dairy products තියෙන brands මොනවද dairy කියලා කියන්නේ කිරි සම්බන්ධ products. What are the brands that we have in Sri Lanka? We have good brands with good taste and all that. But have you noticed most of it, again, sometimes their packaging is not so good. If you take a brand like Highland, their products are very good, no? That is a known thing, ne? Highland හොඳයි කියන එක. Maybe if you look at their packaging, their yogurt and the ice cream, kiri, okay, it's the same. You can't even identify sometimes that it's the same brand unless you Highland කියන නම තියෙන හින්දා දන්නවා. හැබැයි ice cream එකේ package එක වෙන එකක්. If you take what you call a yogurt packaging එක වෙනම එකක්. කිරි එකේ packaging එක තව එකක්. Okay, but they might be having different ideas. Maybe for cost cutting, doesn't matter. But in terms of branding and all that, they can improve because their product is very good. If they are looking at expanding into other markets, it can globally also, then they will have to develop their branding specially. හරි අපි දැන් දන්න වෙලාවකට අපිට දැන් එකපාර brand කරලා ගෙනත් දීලා අර අපේ ice cream නම් වෙනස් කරොත් අපිට හිතනවා now this is expensive කියලා. It happens. හැම වෙලේම හොඳයි කියන්න බෑ. සමහරට ඒක වැඩ කරනවා let it be මං කිව්වේ. If it's selling well, sometimes even you might have not the best design or whatever, you forget about certain things if it's working. Sometimes if you change it, people might not like it. But in terms of improving for brands like that, that is something you can take because for brand identity. Okay, other one is differentiation. Packaging එකෙන් ඔයාගේ brand එක මේකයි අරයාගේ brand එක මේකයි කියලා differentiate කරන්නත් අපි එක පාවිච්චි කරනවා. That's how you do it, no? Like sometimes if you look at it technically, සමහරට අපි if you are looking at අපි කියන්නේ තේ කුඩුම ගමුකෝ. අරකේ මේකේ තියෙන එකම වෙන්න පුළුවන්. එකම we don't know where it comes from, no? But you're just changing it from the packaging. දැන් අපි තුමු කේක් එකක් හදලා මම කේක් බිස්නස් එකක් කරන එහා ගෙදර කෙනෙක් කේක් එකක් කරනවා. You use the same ingredients and use to do the same thing, but how you market it could be different. My logo will differentiate it from that person's one, but we're all making at home. එකම දේ තියෙන්න පුළුවන් ඇතුලේ. Now you take especially food products. අපි කියමුකෝ මේ spices වර්ග. කුළු බඩු කියලා කියන්නේ මිරිස් කියන්නේ මිරිස්නේ අරකෙන් හැදුවත් of course sometimes people mix and all that, but ඒකමනේ එතනින් වෙනස් වෙන්න දෙයක් නෑනේ එතන. Like clothing and all, you know how the quality of the fabric and all might change. But for let's say like special basic thing is something like spices. මිරිස් කුඩු ගම්මිරිස්. හරි එතකොට ඒ වගේ you might have not what you call many ways to differentiate it. You differentiate it through packaging. Okay, but how you do it will make sure whether you have high sales or low sales also. Sometimes when you look at it, some certain brands, it's the packaging that's not good. Take a දියුණු කරොත් somebody it can grow as a brand. Okay, so those are the things in terms of packaging, how it kind of helps a product. It gives protection, okay, and it attraction, information, convenience, okay, brand identification and differentiation. So those are very important in terms of packaging. Okay, so maybe I'll start with this video next time because it's 10 and it's like tomorrow is Monday. I'll have work also. I'll stop here for today. Okay, so we looked at the product component and we looked at very important aspects. Hari දැන් අපි අර මං කිව්වා වගේ එක එක P එකට යනවා. We looked at the portfolio thing, okay? And then we looked at these product levels, okay? And then the classifications, and then this is very important, the life cycle, and then we looked at packaging. Very important concepts. Okay, so ඔය ටික තමයි අපි අද cover කරේ. අපි එන සැරේ මේකෙන් ඉඳගෙන the key what do you call the lesson is on price. හරි මේකෙන් අපි යනවා price ගැන කතා කරන්න. But we'll finish this bit and go. We are going to talk about service because we talked a lot about the product. Product and service දෙකනේ අපි සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඉතින් service ගැන කතා කරලා let's go on to the price component. Okay, so I'll stop the class for today. I'll see you all next time.